Hey everyone, it's Robin from Rose and Lily. In this video, we're going to be turning the original donut pattern into this cute pig. So we make a pink donut and then we add the ears, snout, eyes and tail. You'll first need some chunky or super chunky plush yarn in light pink for the body and then a darker pink for the snout, ears and tail. You'll also need some medium weight black yarn for the nostrils. We'll be using a USG crochet hook, 9mm safety eyes, a yarn needle, scissors, and then I always recommend using stitch markers. The stitches you need to know beforehand are magic ring, chain stitch, slip stitch, single crochet, and increase. So first you will crochet the donut as per the donut pattern, and I'll put a link to that tutorial at the top. I like to make the main body in light pink. Before you sew the two halves of the donut together, you will need to attach safety eyes between rounds 5 and 6, about 8 stitches apart. I prefer to leave the main body without sprinkles, but you can put sprinkles on the bottom half if you wish. So here I've made the donut in light pink, and the eyes are between rounds 5 and 6, and 8 stitches apart. As I said, the eyes will be attached before sewing the two halves together. So now I'm going to crochet the snout using a darker pink yarn. We start with a slip knot. And then we chain 5. Now we're going to do a single crochet in the second chain from the hook. And I'll add a stitch marker to that stitch. Now we're going to do 2 more single crochet back along the chain. Now there should be 1 chain stitch left, and into that stitch we're going to do 3 single crochet. And I'm actually working around the side towards the underside of the chain here. Now working on the underside of the chain, we're going to do 2 single crochet along the chain. And in the last chain on the underside, we're going to do 2 single crochet into the same stitch. Now it might appear like there's a gap before the stitch marker, but that is just the 5th chain stitch that we did in the beginning. So then we can just slip stitch back into the first single crochet we did, which is the marked stitch. And then we can cut the yarn, making sure to leave a tail for sewing onto the body. So the finished snout should be this oval shape. Next we're going to do the ears, and once again I'm using the slightly darker pink yarn. In round 1 it's 4 single crochet in a magic ring. Pull the ring tight and I always put a stitch marker in the last stitch of each round. In round 2, we first do a single crochet, and then we do 2 single crochet into the next stitch, which is an increase. And again we do a single crochet, followed by an increase into the next stitch. This means in round 2 we have a total of 6 stitches. This is the tip of the ear, so just fold it backwards as you're working. In round 3 we first do 2 single crochet, and then we do an increase, and we do that again, so 2 single crochet followed by an increase. This brings a total of round 3 up to 8 stitches. In round 4, there are no increases, we just do 8 single crochet around. And now we can remove the stitch marker. Because the magic ring I do is very secure, I'm going to cut off this tail from the magic ring. But if you're using a slippery yarn, you might want to weave it in instead. Now we're going to fold the piece flat and do single crochets across both sides to close. Then cut the yarn, making sure to leave a tail for sewing. Next we're going to use a yarn needle to shape the bottom of the ear. So just pinch the base of the ear like so. And then just sew it in place with 1 or 2 stitches. So there is the completed ear, and you'll need to make 2 of these. Now we're going to sew the snout in place, and I like to put it with the top of the snout about 1 round below the eyes. So first I'll take the starting tail and I'll insert that about where the right of the snout will go. And then we'll sew the snout in place using the long tail from the end. First make sure it's nice and symmetrical, and then grab a stitch from the body. Go up into a stitch of the snout, and down into the next stitch of the snout. Then grab the next stitch of the body. And you'll repeat this all the way around, just making sure it's symmetrical as you go. Once you've gone around the whole snout, you can bring that yarn tail through to meet the first one. And then you can tie these tails together and then weave in the ends. Next we're going to attach the ears, and I like to place them slightly further apart than the eyes and right at the seam of the two halves of the donut. And I'm just going to sew on the ear slightly to the left of the left eye. Just grab enough stitches at the base of the ear so that it's secure. Then you can just bring the yarn tail through to the back of the donut. And you'll sew on the second ear exactly the same way, just making sure it's symmetrical with the first. At the end, you can tie the tails together and weave in the ends. Now we're going to do the tail. So insert the hook at the back and pull through a loop. And then we're going to chain 11. Starting in the second chain from the hook, we're going to do single crochets back along the chain. This means we'll be doing 10 single crochet in total. This should naturally curve as you're working. Then you can cut the yarn. And I like to tie these two tails together. And then you can use a yarn needle to pull the knot into the piece. If you prefer, you could weave in the ends. Lastly, we're going to embroider the nostrils, and I'll be using about 30 centimeters of medium weight black yarn. For the nostrils, you might have to try a few different places to get them symmetrical. After tying the tails together, you can weave in the ends. And there is the completed pig. Thanks so much for watching this tutorial. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. The written pattern for the pig will be on my website.